is last pick really the worst pick? I mean, last pick's usually my favorite pick whenever I get in these situations. And my reason for it is because I can always fill what the team needs. And I always like playing the game based off of the draft. And what I mean by that is you get in a situation like this and you can look at everyone on your team, the map, and go, what do we need, and try to pick the perfect thing. Now, a lot of people I've recommended just play what you're best at, but I always like last pick just because personally, I don't usually like playing whatever's like the number one thing in the meta at the time. And so I like kind of watching. This guy only knows how to split push. That's fine. I can't see that guy, so I don't know who he is. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk about what I usually think about in draft. This is a current game. I'm right here, and my thought process during draft. So the first thing that I always do, and again I've mentioned this before, first two picks should be trying to pick the OP heroes or the heroes that are strong for the map, and then the last two picks should try to do something that is filling for what the team needs. Or if you really just want to one trick someone, you just hover who you want to one trick. But if you are going to fill, don't hover anyone and pretty much just wait. They have a Rainer, so the first thing that I'm thinking about is a blind composition. So we want someone who has a long enough range that can blind a Rainer, someone like a Joanna or maybe an Artanis or a Lily. Artanis isn't that great on this map, so let's cut him out. Cassia would be okay, but we already have damage. So we don't really need a Cassia right now, which brings it down to Lily or Joanna. In this case, we kind of already have our tank, which means that kind of takes Joanna out. So now I'm trying to figure out what trying to figure out what the what I want to do. If I'm stuck as a support, it's probably gonna be a Lily because it's the only person who can mitigate the damage of a Rainer. Now, there are other options that I can do. Seeing as we're pretty heavy melee and we have a lot of percent health damage, I could technically go like a Alexstrasza, and then I could pacify the Rainer, reducing his damage by 70%, including his spell damage or anything else that he's got going. So this might actually be better. I could also go with like a debilitating dart from Ana, but the odds of landing that is pretty low, and we don't have any mages to nano boost. Nano boosting an Asmo's okay, but it's certainly not nano boosting a Jaina. So this is kind of the logic that I go through every time that I am in draft. I look at the enemy team, I look at if I can counter it, or I look if I could combo with anyone on our team. Seeing as we have a lot of frontline and a lot of beefy people, having a healer that thrives with frontline like an Alexstrasza would be pretty good. So I would probably do like a W Alexstrasza build, drop down a giant W, and it's going to heal the majority of our team. Plus, on Infernal Shrines, Alexstrasza is already great for that. So while Lily kind of struggles on this map because you have to get in a really bad position just to get heals off, Alexstrasza is phenomenal on this map, and she still has Pacify. So I would say I'm between Alexstrasza and Rhaegar. But Rhaegar has no ways to mitigate the damage here. Despite the fact that he's pretty good on this map, he's not the one that I'm going to want to pick. So I'm simply going to pick up Alexstrasza and make sure that my Synergy is all good. It actually doesn't matter on the last pick because it won't change anything. But yeah, so that is kind of how I plan out every draft. If I get last pick, it's way more fun for me because I'm constantly looking at what the enemies have, what we have, and how we can adjust based off of both of those things. So in this case, I saw that we were heavy frontline, so I needed a healer that worked with heavy frontline. I saw that they had someone that I needed to mitigate the damage for, and I adjusted for that. So being able to adjust back and forth is a great way to look at draft. And I personally, again, like last pick's my favorite, but I don't know. So yeah, thanks for watching. Alright, just hit level 13. Wanted to kind of show the logic behind why I picked this comp. So I see Rainer over there. I'm going to do a quick heal, and then I'm going to just walk up. I'm going to pacify the Rainer. And you'll see how this fight is very, very easy for us. Even though my dragon's already down, Rainer didn't do any damage to anyone on our team. And it was very safe for me to just quickly drop everyone down. I can even pop my ult here. Get everyone back up. I'm going to get a couple of these. Get them full health. Easy. And I'm just going to jump back down here, get some heals off. You can see how easy it was when we didn't need to worry about Raynor for a little bit of time. We kind of just did our own thing. I drafted a character that's already good for this map, as she thrives in these like short fights. So you can see how it started off with the draft being something that we just needed to pay attention to. And then I turned those things that I noticed and I focused on those when I got into the game, and we're pushing this game far in our advantage. So, I mean, that's kind of why I like last pick so much, and why I think that it's a fun one to have. You really think it out. And a lot of people will say, oh, but it's really frustrating that you could win the game in draft. And it's not necessarily that you win the game in draft. I mean, they got a pretty strong draft for this map. Chromie's pretty good on this map. Raynor's really good right now in the meta. Urel's top tier in the meta. Diablo's top tier. So they had a pretty strong team. We had a pretty strong team. It was just kind of things that I looked for in the draft that I really enjoyed. When I finally got in game, I could prove that what I drafted for is what we actually got. So thank you all for watching. I know this is kind of a strange video compared to some of the other ones that I've done. I just figured I would show some of my thought process of how I look at a draft, and particularly in just a solo queue situation. It's a little bit different when I get into Team League or into any type of competitive situation, but in Hero League, draft is very, very important, and if you're last pick, you're probably one of the most important people in the draft, even though you might not like last pick. And if you're someone that doesn't like first pick, you probably just don't play a lot of heroes in the meta. Thank you again for watching. I really appreciate I really appreciate it, and feel free to subscribe.